Hello everyone, my name is James Target.
And my name is Pettman.
And welcome to the Football Fanatics podcasting series. This is episode 1 and today we'll be talking about a variety of football topics. And the first one is to talk about our own football team season so far as of March the 22nd, 2021. Obviously, this is being filmed in April the 21st, so it's drawn on since then, so we'll add to what is necessary. But, okay, firstly, Lewis,
yes.
Talk about Chelsea's season so far.
So, well, obviously you've got to start from the beginning, and the main thing that happened for us was that abundance of signings that we've made. You know, like, obviously Havertz, Werner, Silva, Mendy, Ziyech, Sarr, there's just so many, even youth players and all of that. So I think that was pretty big. It's probably been one of the biggest things for us. It's defined the season before it's even started, to be honest. And I wanted to start with that first because I wanted to just talk about the signings because it's been a mixed bag, as you know. Yeah. So first off, I want to start off with Havertz, and he was the big one. I think it was 80 million he cost, and that's massive. That literally is our record signing, like ever. So
Ever.
That's yeah, it was Kepa before, and obviously that ain't gone very well. So we have a habit of big money signings not going very well. If you think of Torres wasn't the best. Obviously Shevchenko back in the day, he was a big money, he didn't go very well. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Havertz, I think he's only scored probably 2-3 goals for us. And it's disappointing because he started off bad under Lampard, and yet I don't think he was playing in the right position. He was playing him like on the right of a midfield three, and that just isn't where he's meant to play. So, and obviously now Tuchel's coming, which I'm going to touch on later. It just seems like a different player completely. Like, obviously against Everton was the big game where I think he was involved in an Everton own goal and he won a penalty. And since then he's just gone better and better. Obviously against Crystal Palace he was, I don't know how he didn't get man of the match. I think they gave it to Pulisic in the end, which is just a bit weird. But yeah, I've got high hopes for him. I think obviously he's had difficulties. He had COVID, pretty rough, and I feel like next season he's going to come back stronger. But it's been disappointing, to say the least. And then next up was Werner, and honestly, I love Werner. I just love. He's just Turbo Timo. That's what he is. He's just. But again, it's not worked. He literally. I mean, he's got the most goal contributions of any player in the team. He's got 19 goal contributions this season, which is pretty good, considering, it's his first time joining the league and everything. But he misses so many chances. Chance after chance. I literally, Sky did a highlight reel of the chances he missed. About 4 minutes long. And each clip's like 5 seconds.
I've seen some of them and they're horrendous. Yeah. Wasn't there one where he missed from a yard out? Yeah. He was going in and he actually touched it wide.
Against Leeds. I think someone put it in and he literally tried to steal it and he literally put it wide.
That's terrible. It's abysmal, really.
Yeah. He's probably one of the most frustrating players I think I've ever seen play for Chelsea. Because he's so good and everything he does is perfect. And then he gets in the box and he seems to just, I don't know, he doesn't seem to know what he's doing. He literally, I think it was Van der Vaart, so he's a headless chicken. And literally what it is, the man runs and he does everything and then he gets in the box, he doesn't exist. He's like, I don't know how he scored 30 goals for Leipzig last season. He must have had like 200 chances or something.
German league, being a little bit more farmer, as they say. Farmers league. Yeah. You got a lot of less competitive clubs in that league. Yeah. So that might be the reason.
I think you had like 10 players scored 20 goals in that German league last year. Yeah. So in Premier League, like 2. Like even this year, I don't think anyone scored over 20 goals in the league. No. So it just shows.
Not so far, anyway. I don't believe.
Not so far, no. And then, that's the negatives. In terms of positives, I think Mendy's been good. He hasn't been outstanding. He was solid. He has been solid, but he's prone to a few mistakes. I think against Leicester he gave away a penalty, which is the game, Lampard's last league game in charge, I believe. He gave away a penalty, but he generally he's just been solid. He doesn't have a lot to do, which is strange for us, really, the amount of chances that we used to give away. Yeah. But he's been good, and for what I think it's like 20 million or something like that, it's a steal, really. I know that it's because I think he's 29 now, so you'd say maybe 4 or 5 years extra you get out of him, and that's about it, to be honest. But a solid signing. And probably our best signing that we've made is probably Thiago Silva.
I agree.
On a free.
Made you very solid at the back.
Yeah, on a free deal. I mean, I don't know what he earns a week. You could earn whatever he wants. I pay him whatever. But he's just so good.
He has his nightmares though.
West Brom mainly.
I was going to say West Brom.
Yeah.
He had two, both a home and away fixture.
Yeah, he got sent off obviously in the home fixture. But I mean, apart from being scared of whatever, like Callum Robinson, he's pretty good. And I think actually, originally when we bought him, I wasn't too bothered. He was probably one of the ones I thought, oh well, you know, he's like 36, he may not cut it, but he has been our best signing. So, yeah. And then finally you got Ziyech, and I've got Ziyech on the back of my shirt at the start of the season. I bought him. I thought, and he's my favourite number, 22, my favourite number. And, again, hot and cold. Like, when he was under Lampard, for like this kind of a month, I'd say, like 2-3 games, he was amazing. I remember against Burnley, he scored a really good goal. And he was just so good, and then he got injured and he just hasn't really recovered. I read a stat yesterday that he scored 5 goals for Chelsea and 4 of them have been in the Cup.
Blimey.
He scored 1 goal in the Premier League, but if you think of the goals he scored a goal against Atletico, he scored the goal against City that got us to the FA Cup final. So I'd say he's been a success, really. He scored goals when he needs to score goals, but
big game sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he scores goals in the big games, and against Burnley. I know that's not a big game, but so yeah. I think as a whole, we spent £250 million. That's
a hell of a lot.
I wouldn't say it's worked. Which, with that, it brings me to my next point, which was probably has been the catalyst of our season, was Lampard getting the sack. At the time, I was gutted. You know, I read he only had 57 games as manager, which is nothing.
Still quite a bit. In terms of manager now,
yeah,
they get sacked probably 15, 16 months in the job as an average. 57, it doesn't sound like a lot.
No.
But that's a season and a half for you.
Yeah.
Is this including cup competitions?
Yeah, it's all games. 57 games,
yeah,
it's all games.
Maybe it's a little bit short.
Yeah. And obviously, he got this season because of what he did last season, where he got us 4th with no sign-ins or anything. And he had obviously Mason Mount and Abraham and Tomori, Hudson-Odoi, all of them as the only real signings, if you will. And he brought them through, and now half of them are literally first-team regulars because of him. So without him, you wouldn't have Mason Mount and James in the team. And Abraham, I know he's on the cusp at the moment, but he's still our top goal scorer this season.
Yeah.
So at the time, I thought it was harsh, and I still think it is harsh because, like I said, 57 games. It's not a lot, really.
Maybe you're right. On reflection, it's not a lot.
It's a year and a half. He got a year and a half, didn't he? It was January. He got the sack, so he got a year and a half. But obviously, since Tuchel's come in, and we're now in an FA Cup final, Champions League semi-final, and when he came in, we were 9th, and we're now 4th. All of these stats and everything combined, I think it was the right choice.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
It looks like it.
Well, Lampard, I read another stat. He's got the worst win rate of any Chelsea manager ever.
I've seen that. That's not good, is it?
No. And you think of some of the managers we've had that are like Villas-Boas, he was awful. Even I know Benitez won the cup, but we didn't like him because of his affiliation to and his love for Liverpool. So, and I think if he wasn't such a legend, he'd have been gone so much earlier. I think he'd have been gone probably a month or 2 earlier. Maybe,
yeah.
And it's weird because we were top. In December, we were top of the league. I know it was like by a point or whatever, but we were top. So in a month, to go from top to 9th, something was wrong, clearly. You can't really do that. You can't get away with that.
Many teams were at the top in the Premier League, Tottenham were even there.
Yeah, I think most teams. I think Arsenal were there at one point, and it's like wow.
It's been a crazy season for the Premier League in general.
So, well, I was going to ask you this as a spectator of Chelsea at the time.
Yeah.
Did you think sacking Lampard was the right thing or the wrong thing? Question and a half, isn't it?
That's a very, very hard question.
Mm.
At the time, no. I think now on reflection of where you are, where you were, yes, it definitely was the right thing. But at the time, I was thinking, no, surely he's got to stay in there for the rest of the season at least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was kind of gutted for you, but now it's kind of the right thing.
Yeah.
The right thing for, like, both parties. Lampard might want time out from the game or might want a job elsewhere.
Yeah.
But for you, just look at the record of what Tuchel's had. It's been second to none, and it's been really good.
He lost one game since he's come in.
Yeah, how many games do you think?
I think 17 or 18.
That's very good.
And you think who we've played? We've beaten City, we've beaten Atletico twice, we've beaten Liverpool already, we drew with United, we've beaten Spurs, and all of them games, we didn't even let a goal in. So, and from a point where we were kind of, not getting thumped, but we let a lot of goals in. I mean, West Brom scored 3 against. I know they scored 5, but they scored 3 against us under Lampard. Southampton scored 3 as well. So, yeah, I think him coming. Actually, at the time, I didn't want him to come in. I thought if you get someone different. I was thinking the Leipzig manager, Nagelsmann. Because I thought he's a bit younger, he'd be a bit better. I mean, Tuchel got the sack from PSG. If someone gets the sack, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
But he's come in and literally, like, amazing. I even like his personality. He just seems like a really honest person.
You want that as a manager as well.
Exactly, yeah. I think he seems to have issues, though. I've read about it before. If he doesn't like you, that's kind of game over. Like you see with Abraham, he's not in the squad. He's fit. He's fully fit. He hasn't been in the squad for like 4 games now.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but
yeah,
you got to impress in training.
Yeah.
Well, do you think Lampard should have been sacked at the time?
No, I didn't at the time. No, I mean we were literally, like I said, we were top of the league in January, so it's not like we were doing awfully. I think the thing that got him the sack was the fact that these new signings hadn't worked. Because obviously they're good players like Werner and Havertz and Ziyech, the main 3.
Yeah.
He just couldn't get to click for any at all, any position. Havertz, he tried probably 5 or 6 different positions along the front and in the middle, and it just didn't work. And I think them 3 in particular, them 3 coming in and having the season they'd had is what got him the sack. And I could imagine some of the players didn't like him. So you see like Rudiger wasn't in the squad for half the season. And then the last 5 games he comes in. Just the last 5 games before Lampard sacked. So,
like that.
Yeah. And he's not on ability. Obviously he wouldn't drop him for half a season and then put him back in on ability. So they'd obviously had falling outs. And I think the job came too early for him. At the top, when he came in, I thought, give him a year, see how he's doing. And obviously he did well in that year. But I think the job was too early. I mean, obviously, I live in like a fantasy world or whatever, but he should have done that first year, and then he should have like gone back to Derby or something, and then because he's not experienced with that kind of money.
No, and especially being at Derby. I mean, he got them to
The playoffs.
the playoffs, but
Yeah.
that's in the Championship, and it's a big step up with like Championship playoffs to Champions League.
Yeah.
You can't deny that, but I think you're right, because that's what people said. It's like the pinnacle of his managerial, thing. Like to be a manager, he would probably want to be Chelsea manager the most out of anything. Yeah. Because obviously he's Chelsea diehard.
Yeah.
So I don't know like where he goes from here. It's kind of he could go anywhere, but I think he'd probably do what like Eddie Howe is doing and kind of taking a bit of time off.
Yeah.
He must. It's a hard job to manage a club, and
especially Chelsea. There's so much pressure.
Yeah.
Actually, I think as well, the squad he had at Derby was so good that if you think he had Mason Mount, he had
Mason Mount,
Harry Wilson, Tomori. I think there's a few others that are playing. I think Bogle plays for West Brom, Sheffield United now, so that he's a Premier League player. Not for very long, but he's a Premier League player.
Yeah.
So he had a good squad, and you think what has happened since the players left and since he left? It's kind of gone downhill a bit, hasn't it? I mean, they're like in the relegation zone nearly now, aren't they? So
yeah, it's incredible. Well,
yeah.
do you think Chelsea are going to get top 4 this season?
Yes,
You really think?
I'm very, very confident. I think the fixtures we've got, I don't know it perfectly, but I know we have Man City and West Ham to play in our last 6 games. But I don't know, I just don't see... I think there's 2 spots. I think Leicester will drop out. And I think West Ham... I don't even know if West Ham won it that much. You hear Moyes do his interviews and stuff, and he's like, oh, well, any European football will do. He doesn't seem convinced.
That might be just bluffing or mind games.
Maybe.
The managers like doing that.
Yeah, because then if they get it, they're like, oh well, there's no pressure or anything. I don't know. I think Chelsea and Liverpool might get it. Liverpool a bit of a stretch, but they've got so many good players that they kind of can't not.
They are in the race.
Yeah,
they are a bit of a.
I don't think
a back runner, and they're not favourites for it. But
no.
Yeah, I reckon you could be right with that.
Yeah, I don't think Tottenham will get it, to be honest, or Everton. I think it literally is out of Leicester, West Ham, Chelsea, Liverpool. So 4 teams for 2 spots. So I think it's
50-50 then. If
yeah. And obviously
Chelsea.
currently we are in it. And literally on goal difference, but we are in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and in terms of other things going on, obviously we're in the Champions League semi-final. That's very scary. We haven't been there in 7 years apparently. So, I'm a bit nervous for that, but honestly, I've said this before. I would have wanted Real Madrid out of the options we could have had. Out of City, PSG and Madrid, I would have wanted Madrid. I think they're the most beatable of the 3.
Really?
Yeah, for me. I just think City are like the best team in Europe. I know they've had a bit of a rough 2 weeks, but they are, for me, the best team in Europe. And PSG are just a bit scary, really.
They do have a lot of good players.
Mbappe, Neymar, Di Maria.
I
mean, no thank you. I think, I'm making a prediction now. I mean, we haven't played the games yet. I think it will be a Chelsea, a City final.
Oh, I think it'll be Chelsea PSG.
Oh.
Because City, it's the only thing they've not won. And
Yeah.
Guardiola's, he's known for winning Champions Leagues with Barcelona. And him to not win it yet at Man City is like criminal.
Yeah.
People are saying, Fraudiola, all this and that. He's just a bald man, whatever. Like
bald Spanish man, yeah.
A bald Spanish man. He's nothing special.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit harsh, really.
It is. It's very harsh. It's extremely harsh. I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
But they have to win the Champions League at some point, and you think this could be their season, but
yeah.
I think they just do have that tendency to bottle it.
Yeah.
For me, I just think it's going to be a PSG Chelsea final, and
who would win
it's up to whoever.
Who do you think?
Who do you think will win it? Hard question. It depends on how either side plays.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, because Chelsea on their day are unplayable. They got very solid at the back. They've got enough in attack to create a lot of chances, and they will take one of their chances.
Yeah.
If they limit to PSG's chances as well and try and cut out Mbappe and Neymar and all their physical players up front, they got a good chance of winning it. But if they don't cut out the attacking play, I think it have to be the PSG, if I'm honest.
Ouch.
It all depends on the day and all depends on either side.
Because both teams are kind of known for, if they're on it, they're on it, and if not, they're just not.
Yeah.
I mean, if you even think of Chelsea, like literally, when we're recording this, literally yesterday, Chelsea drew 0-0 with Brighton, and they were awful. They were so poor.
If I was looking at the stats, when Brighton had more shots than you did.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes, we were just giving the ball away so easily, and we didn't even look like scoring, to be honest. And there was just no urgency. They just looked like they look knackered, actually. They look really tired and just really lethargic. So, but I'm going to make my predictions now, and then, hang my hat or whatever. I think Chelsea will win the FA Cup final, and I think Chelsea will get to the Champions League final. I'm not going to say whether they'll win it or not, because I don't want to, be too out there, and I don't look like too much of an idiot, but that's my 2 predictions. So, anyway, I've spoken about Chelsea long enough. Talk to me about your beloved Charlton.
Okay, where do I even start? The season has been very hectic, a bit like yours, but actually probably more hectic than yours. So basically, let's start all the way back in July when we got relegated from the Championship to League One, because that means obviously we got relegated. So we are now in the third tier. We were in the second, but in July we had very, 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 very bad owner issues. The company called ESI, E Street Investments. I'm not going to go into every detail because that will probably take me an hour or 2 hours in itself. But yeah, there was owner issues there. They didn't want to fund the club. We were running out of money. This businessman, Paul Elliott, was going, I can fund the club. I'm doing this and that, and I'm going to take over the club, and it's going to be great, and all the Charlton fans are going to love it. But him and his lawyer, Chris Farnell, have failed the EFL fit and proper test, which my dad has said you can only ever fail if you've been in prison or you're a criminal. Like you've been in prison, or like you're criminated, or like you're like there's something like terribly wrong with you. So obviously alarm bells were ringing as soon as they failed it back in August. There were court cases with the EFL fit and proper test being failed, and it led to a lot of backfiring for them, because a wealthy Danish businessman came in at the last second, pretty much, like the end of August. He came in and swooped in and said, I want to buy the club. I've got funds. Here's the proof. And a lot of back and forth. He was now added to the court case, and there was so much drama around it. There's so much to even talk about, but don't have enough time for that. But Charlton lost. We won the first court case, and then there was this drawback to it, and they had to make another court case, and then we lost the second one, and it looked like Elliott had won. Paul Elliott had won the court case over, and we were doomed. And he had this clause to buy the club and have it to himself. But Thomas Sangard came in, and he saw there was a loophole with the court case's logistics, and Paul Elliott was only buying the shares of ESI and not the club. So what he did was swooped in, and on the 25th of September it was confirmed that he was owner, and all those the possibility of us being expelled from the league. We're weeks away. We're running out of money. Players not being funded properly. It all went away, and thankfully so, because we were in very, very treacherous times. It was terrible, awful to look at and to see, and there were even rival clubs like Crystal Palace going days before Charlton are expelled from the EFL, and it was heartbreaking to see a club of our stature nearly going bust because of chances and poor businessmen that really just want money and don't care about football at all. But enough rambling about that. Yeah, because of the bad owners though, we did have a transfer embargo, which means we couldn't sign players for the new season. And obviously, if you can't sign players, you're out of luck. You got to start using your academy players. But fortunately, when Thomas Sangard took over, the embargo was lifted, so we could then sign players. We only had about 10 days when he came in to sign players, and we signed probably about a dozen. They all came in. Yeah, I know, it's mad. we signed probably a good dozen. Not all funded. Some of them are frees. A couple, like 5 loans, 6 loans. But it's all that we could make do, because there was also there's a salary cap, which means we couldn't sign players with a cap or like their salary over like 3,000 on an average, which is terrible. So, all things were going against us in terms of signing players, but we got a squad together. Like Lee Bowie was at the helm. We were all going fine and going dandy, and we did start the season pretty poorly, which was not good. We started probably the first 4 or 5 games 18th position. We won the first game, but we dropped off considerably because we were playing academy players, the likes of Charlie Barker, 17-year-old in defence, and yeah, it was not going good. It was very, very weird to look at a squad that was just built in 1 week, and it did merged together quite well. After a while, we then picked up in our form, and in October we went 6 games unbeaten, I think 5 wins in a row, and we then went to 3rd in the table. We were all looking good. Lee Bowie was taking us back up to the Championship after getting us relegated. And the fans were saying, right, this is our season, we're going to get top 2. Us and Sunderland are going to get top 2 this season. It's going to be great. We're going to be back up to the Championship. But after those 6-7 games where we were unbeaten, we dropped off again very poorly. We were okay in parts of October and November and December, but by January we dropped off terribly. We were losing games after games after game. We probably won. I think we won 4 out of 8 or 4 out of 9 or 10. And that put us in January to about 7th or 8th. We were hanging around the top 6. But because of the amount of teams that are near us out of COVID, many of them had games in hand. So we were in a false position in January. My dad was saying that if you look at the points per game, we're 12th, this and that. And it was very poor to look at. And it was quite disheartening to see Charlton, do so badly after starting having a good first bit of the season. And by February, by the end of February, it was awful. Like, everyone was turning on Lee Bowie, telling him to go, get rid of him, this and that, tweeting at Thomas Sandgaard saying, get rid of Lee Bowie, he's toxic, he's this and that, because he did dig out a few players and did kind of wrongfully say bad stuff about them. He even ridiculed Marcus Maddison for pulling out of a challenge, and actually he never played for us since then. So, and then went out on loan to Bolton, which I'll probably get to later if I remember. Well, actually, I might as well talk about that now. But basically, after he went to Bolton, he played a couple of games, got sent off in his first game. That got overturned. He then played, got benched a few times. I think because Marcus Maddison lives in Peterborough, and being in Bolton is quite far away from his family, including his daughter. He had off-the-field issues, family issues, and he wanted to see his daughter and couldn't. So basically what he would do is he'd play on his games as a reality escape, and he then got ridiculed by his fans and other opposing fans. It didn't look good for him, and after he also had some troubles with Bolton's manager. Apparently, I don't know how true it is, but he actually got caught for sleeping through games and actually not waking up in time. So that's how he missed playing for Bolton. And after a long time, it was mutually agreed that he would leave Bolton and cut the loan deal short. But he didn't actually come back to us. He's actually thinking about quitting football. And that's quite mad. He's got family issues on and off the pitch. So respect to Marcus Maddison. He's got a lot of talent. He might not be using it as much at the minute, but that's not his fault because he's got family issues to think about. But anyway, yeah, that was very controversial at the time hearing that. But anyway, back to Charlton season. At the end of February, we just lost to Blackpool 3-0. And I tell you what, it was one of the worst games I've ever watched on either stream, TV, or
live.
Yeah, live at all. I watched it with my girlfriend, and it was her first game as well, which is
first and worst.
First and worst. It was embarrassing. We went as low as 13th as it stood that day. We were 12th.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, it was poor. I couldn't tell you how mad I was and disappointed to see how far we'd fallen in the season. I thought, right, that's over. Our season's done.
Yeah.
It was just bad. Everyone was still calling for Bowyer to leave and get sacked, and Sandgaard was putting his faith in Bowyer and saying he's got no pressure on him. I'll give him a good amount of time, and people were like, no, Sandgaard, get rid of him, please. He's toxic for the club. He digs out players, makes stupid substitutions, this, that, and the other. And after we played Shrewsbury in midweek, actually came out in the news that Bowyer had resigned
Wow.
I at the time I was shell shocked. I was in college with you, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been Monday or Wednesday. I think it was
It
Monday.
was on Monday, yeah.
Yeah, I was shell shocked to look at that and to see that he'd resigned. And he actually was thinking of going to Birmingham to be his manager. And this was later confirmed later that day and the next day on the Tuesday that he was going to Birmingham. And we needed to get a new manager, and there was so much wrong with the club. Bowyer at the end of his run, I think we went 4 or 5 unbeaten. We were win draw at the end, so we didn't actually do much for the table, but we were steadily getting closer to the top 6. I think we then got from 12th to 8th or 9th, but all these teams still had their games in hand to play, so we were probably 11th on points per game, or that'd be our real position. So it did still look bad, but yeah, Bowyer leaving shell shocks me. I was so disappointed, but then I was actually thinking at the same time it might actually be best for us because it was getting really toxic, and I hated seeing the drama on Twitter and all social medias wanting Bowyer gone and tweeting Sandgaard, our own owner, saying, get rid of him. No, he's rubbish. He's useless. It was just very toxic to the bottom up, and I thank God we're not like that anymore. Yeah. But yeah, moving on.
Well, just to add on that, do you think, because he left, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Do
you think he would have been sacked? Or do you think they'd have given him...
Sandgaard really liked him.
Yeah.
You could tell he backed him all the way. He said there was no pressure on him at all when he left.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have been sacked until...
End of the season.
At least end of the season. He probably might have given him at least maybe half the next season. Sandgaard really liked him. And you could tell why, because he's Charlton through... Well, not Charlton through and through, but he was ex-Charlton. He came through our academy. He did this and that. And, yeah, it's hard to actually process what actually happened.
Yeah.
I do think that Sandgaard would have kept him in the job for at least until the end of the season, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to the first game without Bowyer, it was our assistant coach went as manager, Johnny Jackson, who used to play for us as well. And we came behind from 2-0 down to win 3-2, which was the first time in 8 years. And the first time we've actually came from behind to win since the playoff final in 2019.
Wow.
Under Bowyer, if we had conceded first, my dad and I would write off the game. We'd be like, right, turn the stream off. We might see a little fight back and get a draw, but we never ever won.
Yeah.
Won. We never ever won. And it was really weird because you see teams all the time coming back from 1 or 2-0 down to win 3-2 or 4-2 or something. I always see like League 1 and League 2 sides do it. So I was shell shocked to know that was the first time in that long.
Yeah. Do you think that's a Bowyer thing, or do you think that's the players?
I think it was the mentality of the players.
Yeah.
Because I'll get onto that in a minute. Because I do think it's the mentality of the players that we have. But who knows? But I'll talk to you in a minute about that. Basically, after that, on the Thursday or Friday, it was confirmed that after speculation on bookies websites and this and the other, that Nigel Adkins, former Southampton, Hull and Sheffield United boss, would become our next permanent manager in a 2.5-year deal, I believe. And many people were actually upset with this because they think he's past. He hadn't been in a job for 1.5 years. But the way I saw it is that he's got 4 promotions on his CV.
Yeah. 3
from League 1, the league we're currently in. And he's even got back-to-back promotions with Southampton. Even though that was 12 years ago, it's still an achievement nonetheless. And he can do it. He's proven to get teams promoted. So I was very mixed. I was looking at fans' reaction going, oh, this is bad. No, we're going to end the season. We're going to next season, League 1 again, see what Adkins does. But yeah, I wanted to see what would happen as the season progressed, like at the end of the season, because we only had probably 14 games to go, or even less than that, maybe even a dozen, or even 10 games to go. And I just wanted to see what Adkins had in his locker still. But yes, since Adkins has come in, as of March the 22nd, I think he was unbeaten in his first 3 games. He drew with Wimbledon. Mm-hmm. We beat Doncaster, and then I think we then drew with another. Actually, I think we then beat Sunderland.
Yeah,
which was
a big game, isn't it?
Yeah, they're all crucial games at the end of the season, nevertheless. But yeah, to beat 2 promotion rivals at the time, Doncaster and Sunderland, was big. Yeah. So yeah, I was like, oh, you know what? Adkins could get us somewhere here. Results were actually going our way. There was times when we had international break and other things like that, and we didn't end up playing, and teams were still still getting their games in hand done against us, and results are actually mainly going our way. I was thinking about it, like out of probably the 3 or 4 teams that had 3 or 4 games in hand, they're all below us now. Yeah. They're like Accrington had 3 or 4 games in hand against us and were like 2 points clear of us. But now with our swing of results and theirs being poor, I think we're about 6 points clear of them now. It's really massively improved. And let's move on to the current time of the season. We're actually back into the playoffs for the first time since probably February or January, and we beat Plymouth yesterday 6-0 away from home. Watching that game with my dad was pure bliss. I mean, the first 10 minutes was really bad and nerve-wracking. They had 2 corners Plymouth had 2 corners in the space of a minute, and we were on the back foot. But after the spell of pressure they put on us, we were dominating them. We absolutely smacked them, and rightly so. That we beat them by that margin. I think a little bit flattering, but we'll take a 6-0.
Yeah.
Obviously, who wouldn't? But yeah, we now have 12 plus 12 goal difference, which is the same as our promotion rivals, Portsmouth, and also 2. It is still 2 less than Oxford, who are 7th, and Portsmouth are 8th. But we are now in with a shot. We're in the playoffs. We have 2 games in hand over 7th and 1 game over 8th, and we are a point safe in the playoffs. And it's nerve-wracking. We've got a hard 5 games left to go. We've got the top 2 and 4th to play.
Wow.
We do.
That's massive.
It is massive, but we have Hull, who are top, to play the last game of the season. So they might be on the beach. They might be already champions. We're already promoted. It's all right.
Relax.
Peterborough we have on Saturday. That's the game I'm fearing. But they just lost to Gillingham.
Yeah.
And we just beat Plymouth 6-0. They might look at our result and go, you know what? We got to be scared of them. They're a playoff rival. We got to respect them.
Yeah.
And I think we should, and hopefully we do, come out flying and attack them straight away. And if we get that first goal, we're going to win the game.
Yeah.
At the point before, I actually wanted to go on to about the players bottling or not coming back from being behind. I still think it is the players, because we've actually never been behind in a game with Nigel Adkins yet.
Yeah, so if you was, you never know how it would go.
Yeah. We have to actually find out. I don't want to find out. I want to win the remaining games of the season. So, yeah, it's the season so far. It's not detailed as such, but there are a lot of things that happened in the season alone, and fans even came back halfway through the season for a bit, and then obviously they were banished again because lockdown restrictions.
Yeah. Again.
But that was another reason why Bowyer was hated, because there was 2,000 or 1,000 fans of us, and he was saying, "Oh, we were a bit quiet tonight. Oh, the fans were a bit quiet." That's you shouldn't ever say that to the fans. at all. So that was the first sticking point to Bowyer's reign at Charlton.
Yeah.
And I think that it was the right decision for him to resign. He's now obviously doing a great job at Birmingham. I think from the 6 games he's been in charge, he got 13 points.
Yeah.
They were 2 points clear of the relegation zone. I think they now have 9 points clear.
They look safe, don't they?
They are. I think they're all but safe, to be honest, with like 4 games to go.
Yeah.
They play tonight. I think they can pretty much guarantee safety if they win tonight against Notts Forest, I believe. But yeah, this season so far has been very, very hectic. But you know, we are still somehow in the chance of the playoffs. It might show you how bad League One actually is, and how poor the league is if we go on and win 3 or 4 games in the whole of 2-3 months,
and you're still
and still 6th with a game in hand, or even 2 on a team with any promotion rivals. It shows you how poor this season is. We've got 66 points. My dad was saying we need 75, which is 9 points from our last 5 games, which is possible.
3 wins. We need 3 wins, isn't it?
3 wins from our 5 games.
Yeah.
I don't think we need 75 personally. I think we need 73.
Yeah.
Because I think Oxford can get 74 as their max with the 3 games they have left. And
but that isn't guaranteed, is it? They might lose a game.
They might lose one.
Game.
They might drop points.
Yeah.
We have the hardest running out of all of the playoff contenders. Obviously, that's why people like Charlton aren't in it just yet. But we beat Sunderland.
Yep.
You know, we beat Doncaster, who at the time were playoff rivals. They're now 13th, I do believe, and it's very poor from them, very poor. But they had a change of manager as well, so their manager went to Sheffield Wednesday.
Darren Moore, isn't it?
Yes, Darren Moore, indeed. They have now, I think, Andy Butler, who is funny because he shushed our fans or cupped his ear to when he scored a last-minute goal in the playoff semi-final 2 seasons ago. So I don't like him personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're 13th. They're doing terribly. But yeah, this season's been a whirlwind. It's been we started terribly. We had a great start after that. Midway through, we kind of dropped out, but we were still 4th, 5th. 2/3 way through the season, we were dropped out. We were mid-table, we were poor, just losing game in, game out. We lost to Burton, who were bottom at the time. Oh, it was just awful. But now Adkins is back. Adkins is manager now. He's in as manager, and I tell you what, he's done a very good job as of right now. There's a lot more positivity from the fans, from the club, from the players. There's actually quotes come out from players saying that Adkins coming back has brought us life back to the dressing room, which might actually put another negative spin on Bowyer and say how negative he was. But yeah, I even heard something that he made Johnny Williams cry. Who Johnny Williams is one of the most
lovely man.
He's a lovely geezer, right? He's just everything about him you gotta love.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how true that was. People saying it's true, people saying it's false.
Yeah.
We never know until something ever leaks out. But I don't believe anything would ever leak out.
No.
But yeah, that is Charlton's season so far. We have 5 games left to go. But it's too tough to decide whether we'll be in playoffs or not at the minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that should conclude this whole podcast as a whole.
Yep.
We hope you enjoyed. This has been thoroughly entertaining to do.
Yes, agreed.
And yeah, I've been James Target.
I've been Lewis Pettman.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
You won't be lonely if you fall in love over and over again and again.